We're back. This is Paul Douglas, the industry giant here in Winnipeg, and I've got my other search engine bully, Rob Anspach from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, here on this video. The third video and third chapter of our book, Optimize This, the book, how two retired carpet cleaners consistently beat out web designers for positions on the search engines. Today we're going to talk about how keyword research and Rob, you've got a really cool acronym and technique on creating keyword research and doing that. So why don't you share that with us today? How do you go about setting up your keyword research?
Well, what I do is this acronym is called APE. So I always say, let's go APE. And APE stands for analytical, psychological, and emotional. And they're the keywords that you want to use to rank on Google or the other search engines to bully your competitors off the screen. So when you take your analytical, your psychological, and your emotional keywords, if we go to the analytical, these are your industry standard. These are your technical terms that you would use in your industry. And these are the terms that, like say in carpet cleaning, we would use hot water extraction. We would use other terms that the consumers probably would never think about. Consumers are more inclined to say carpet cleaning. They could care less about whether it's extraction or dry or wet. They just want the common term. So analytical is more of your technical industry standard words. Psychological are the words that compel somebody to want to do something. Okay? These are the words that get into your brain, that make you do I don't know, crazy stuff. Because when you're out there, you see something, oh wow, yeah, I got to remember that. That's a psychological trigger. That makes you do something. So those are the words that need to be in your website or your ranking to compel you to want to either like the website, go to the website, or call and find out more information about the website or what the products are on the website. The emotional are those keywords that are similar to psychological, but they are more of a kind of a stepping stone. These are words that your consumers are going to use that also share in your belief system. So, when you put all these words together, you're actually going to beat out your competitors because you are doing a systemized approach to winning the keyword game. Now, we had touched upon some of these keywords prior in another episode we did, and I shared with you that how I get keywords is I go to industry bulletin boards, forums, community chat rooms, and I look at the words that consumers are using to talk about your product and service. So when you're doing your keywords, write down on a piece of paper everything that could ever describe what you do, and you put them in your three columns: analytical, psychological, emotional. And then you take the words that you're finding on these forums, and you also put them down in these in your Go Ape list. And now you shorten the list, because with every page that you have on your website, say you have 10 products. Well, every product needs its own page. Every page needs to have its own set of keywords. So, and I know Paul and me, we've seen so many websites that people are using the same keywords, the same title, the same description for every single page. So none of their pages are ranking because it's duplicate to Google sees it as a duplicate page to the main page. So every page needs to be unique, has to have relevant content, and has to have keywords that tell Google and the consumers why it's important to go to that page. You want to add anything, Paul?
Well, I guess the next question is like, what's the process that you go through? Like, what are the steps you take to go ape? You mentioned going to visit the forums and the communities and the bulletin boards, but when you go and start to research the keywords that you want to optimize, not only for a site but for each individual page, what are the steps that you follow to go ape?
Well, a lot of times, based on us being in the carpet cleaning world and doing a lot of carpet cleaning sites, I don't need to sit down with a consumer. I mean, the web the person who wants to have the website designed, because I already know the industry. But now, if I'm sitting down with like a massage therapist or a chiropractor or a dentist or anybody that's not in the cleaning field and it's new to me, I need to know everything there is to know about their field. So not only am I going to ask them a lot of questions, which they're going to probably tell me more of the analytical side. I'm going to do research. I'm going to go on the internet. I'm going to go to all different types of places and find out what drives people to want to use that service process. And I think that process is mainly overlooked in a lot of the development of sites. Cleaning, well, it's too generic. I'm sorry, but it's not going to work. Um, you need to have more of a compelling aspect to your site to want to get people to come in. And when you go to Google and type in carpet cleaning Winnipeg, carpet cleaning Lancaster, or even any other industry out there, it needs to show up not only on page one, the title, but the description needs to be compelling. But they want to be part of what you're doing. One of the tricks and this is a freebie. This is a trick that I get everybody to do. Put your phone number either in the title or the description of the page, because sometimes people are on their smartphones or they're in their workplace and they don't have time to look at your website, but they do have time to click on that phone number and call you. A lot of people just aren't putting their phone number in the title or the description, so now you are coming up not only on page one, beating out your competitors, but your phone number is right there, so they can call you without going to your website. I know that's kind of counterproductive. We want them to go to the website, but the main thing is we want them to call, to pick up that phone, to call, to place an order, to buy your product, or to ask questions.
Absolutely. I have to agree with. I know, the story I like to share about that is that about 3 years ago, I was asked by a friend of mine if I would sit in to a breakfast meeting for him because he was going off on a holiday with his wife and he needed an alternate. And I was more than willing because I'm really a huge fan of BNI and the breakfast meetings they have. So I jumped at the opportunity, and on the morning of the meeting, I was running a little bit behind, um, and parking with this location was. I finally found a spot, but it was the wrong spot for that time of day, or between 7 and 9, it was in the wrong spot. Had a great time at the meeting. Came out, walking out with one of the other members, and I looked at where I was parked, and my vehicle wasn't there. And so I was pretty confident that I probably got towed away for parking in the wrong spot. And I went home to, at that point, picked up the phone book when I got home and tried to look for the towing company that would have hooked me up and towed me away so that I can see, is it there or do I call the police and report a stolen car? Well, maybe it's my age. You are seeing me wearing the reading glasses right now. I didn't have them then. But, the print was so, so, so tiny on that page. And this was in the white pages. I couldn't find the phone number. I couldn't find the listing, let alone the phone number. I got frustrated, and because I got frustrated, I closed the book. I went straight to the computer and proceeded to go to Google, looked up the name of the towing company, found their website, went to their website, made the phone call. So I was using the search engine in this case not to find so much a website as I was to find a phone number. I was using it as the yellow pages. So the point I'm trying, based on that suggestion, if you put your phone number in the description, particularly if it's in the first 156 characters of that description, it's going to show up in the search engines. I would even use a little bit of HTML and I would bold your phone number in that description so that it stands out. And the idea behind that is you want the search engines to pick that up. You want to display your phone number. You want it to be visible because if your customer is doing what I did and they were using Google, Bing, or Yahoo as a yellow page book instead of a search engine, your phone number's there. You're eliminating all search after that because they're picking up the phone number they're calling. They're not searching other websites. They're closing it out. They're moving on. They got what they needed. In this case, it was your phone number. So yeah, brilliant idea, Rob. I'm going to suggest any put your phone number in all your descriptions because you want to drive people to take action to do business. And that's, the one thing I would suggest is in the description, make it a call to action in the description with a phone number. But also at the same time, throw in keywords. So this allows for a little bit of creativity. In 156 characters left, how do you have a keyword-based description with a phone number and a call to action?
And when you put your phone number in, put it with dashes and not dots. Because if you put 123 dot, the computer is going to confuse it as an IP address and not a phone number. So, put the dashes in, and now it becomes a phone number and not an IP address.
Yes, I agree with you there. I see that all the time. And, particularly now where, let's face it, you got more cell phones out there now than you do laptops and computers or smartphones. And people are searching you on their phone. And if you want them to just click and call you, well, then you need to make sure you've got the hyphens and not periods. Yes, your graphic
Right.
designer is going to say it looks better, it's cleaner, it's neater. So what? You want the phone call. Put in the hyphens.
Right. And the biggest way to make sure that your website is a success is whether or not people opt into your email boxes or call you. So, you might as well make sure that you make it as easy as possible for them to call.
Absolutely. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to invite you to come back to the next episode. We're going to be talking about some of in the next video, in the next chapter, we're going to be talking about some of the things you can do to, I guess for lack of better words, get yourself delisted, banned, buried on page 1000 of the search engines. What a lot of times people would call these black hat techniques, or I like to call them old school techniques that don't work anymore, and how you can keep yourself from falling into that trap.